So paper mache armature. So an armature is basically the underlying structure or skeleton that you will paper mache over. So you have a few choices in how to create an armature, and it really depends on what your original design is. So if you want something geometric, then I find that cardboard is really a great way to go, because of course you have, you know, angles and ridges that you can take advantage of. So I kind of started this one already, and you can see I've started to paper mache over it. This one I actually just kind of folded for a little bit of a softer shape, so you can see where I folded it here. It doesn't have an exact angle. And I actually just folded and then you have to think about how you're going to attach it. All right, so you can fold and attach, right? So I'm just going to use this piece because it's a great demo. And I can actually just use a stapler. Depending on the strength of your stapler, you might need to go a few times to hold it together. Or of course, a hot glue gun is great. Or if I needed to, I could use tape and just say kind of wrap around a few times depending on what my shape is. If I wanted more precise shapes, I might need to cut this into smaller pieces. Make sure that if you do that, you're not cutting directly on your work surface, right? And then if I wanted to cut it, I would, cut the shapes that I needed out of here. I might make a template. I might, draw it out first so that I got the right design, and then I would glue it together. Another way to create an armature is, if you wanted something that's more organic in shape, sort of like blobby, would be a lot of different things. So one would be an old mailing pack, right? So if I took some of this, depending on what size you need, just crumple it up. This will create just a small little piece, and I can just kind of build on this. And you could do it with the whole thing if you wanted something fairly large. Bubble wrap on its own would work. Any of those kind of bubbly mailers that they send nowadays would work as well. Just regular old paper crumpled up would be good. The important thing with any of these techniques where you crumple things up is to do it really tightly, because if you don't, as you add your paper mache, it will kind of soften and squish down and then will deform the shape. So you want to start close to where you want to end up, just like most things. Another option would actually be wire. And a lot of us don't necessarily have just a spool of regular wire at home, but many people will have, say, a wire hanger. So if you have a wire hanger that you can spare, this would be a great option. There are two ways to shape this. One would be with pliers. So this does depend on having pliers with the actual clipping end, and you would clip off the kind of shoulder hook area. Or if you didn't have pliers, it's still doable to just bend and deform the shape. You would just have to take into account that this piece is here, and what are you going to do with that, right? So you could bend, you could twist it and bond, kind of combine them that way. So even if you don't have pliers, it is possible to use wire. I like to use wire if I wanted to have, say, an organic shape, especially with kind of positive and negative space. And here's what I mean. So this is in progress, and I'll show you what my next steps are. So I took some wire and I, bent and attached it in different places. It's nice and secure. And then I've started to wrap newspaper around it. And it could be newspaper, or it could be regular, brown paper, or again, a paper bag would be great for this. So the way that I got to here is I took a sheet of newspaper and I crumpled it up long ways, right? So I created a long length of paper, and I continued to crumple it and twist it. The twisting helps strengthen it so that it's less likely to tear as I'm working. The twisting also helps keep it from unraveling too. And then I taped it on. I usually tape it at a slight kind of angle. So I'll wrap this around a little bit, tape it on, and then I will twist this around my piece right? So as I wrap around, I'm gonna get this design, this shape here. And so I could bulk it up by adding more in certain areas. I could have less newspaper, so this was like a full sheet. I could use a half sheet if I wanted a thinner connection here. And this could also be connected to something else, right? So, you know, really think about your design and what sort of shapes you need to create, and then what materials are best suited for that shape. You could also use, you know, like old snack boxes and everything. These are a little more flimsy than cardboard though, so they will probably not hold up as much, so they're going to get a little soggy as